So just kind of a quick update of what we've got going on in the shop here right now. So kind of behind me here we've got just a catalog of a bunch of parts. Kind of one of the neat things that we're able to do is we're able to kind of set ourselves apart a little bit. So these are like some custom brackets that we had designed just for the hydraulic doors there. So these are the ones that would operate with these little arms that we've got over here. So these are what we'd use for our sensor mounts. So there's a couple different little features on there. So then this hole here is your pivot point, and then this one here is your adjustment. So then you're able to kind of select your range. So then you've got about, probably like 20 inches of radius that you're able to run your sensors at. Stuff like this. So we're doing a cedar beam feature. So then these are some custom made brackets that we have. So these are kind of what sits. So our main beam kind of sits right here, and then our rafter or our truss kind of sits down in this pocket here, and then we're going to put in 1/2-inch bolts all the way through. Same thing with this one here. So this is going to be like our peak one, so it encompasses 3 sides of it. Cedar's not exactly great for being a structural wood, so we kind of have to do a little bit more work for it. So then these big ones here, so then these are kind of a few that go from like our bottom cord, and then this is one of the webs, so that goes in here. So you can kind of see, I've got extra large hands, according to glove size. So those are pretty big. So it's kind of a neat thing as well that we're able to do. So this is like the main one that we've got going on, so we've got our king post, that sits here, and then another web, and then, our bottom cord that sits there. So then these are for a set, not a set rather, but it's for a truss that we're doing on a feature on our current building. So it's a 44-foot long on the bottom there, like a 312 slope. So it's gonna be pretty cool. Building it out of 10x10s, got it brought out from the island. So we're gonna be able to do some kind of neat things here. This is where our top cord and our bottom cord meet. So these brackets are, they're pretty beefy. We're using a whole bunch of 3/4-inch bolts, so then we're doing 3/4 by 12-inch bolts are going in there as well. We're taking the time to, make sure that we do a good, prime job on the head, and then, here's 160 washers of 80 bolts that are going into this setup. So kind of some neat things that we're able to do. These things here, kind of custom hydraulic lower mount pins, 1 3/8 for doing those things, just a, hole in there, to keep those pins from rotating. Custom shapes like this, so it fits on the ears of our, hydraulic cylinders. So we're always trying to make, different adjustments. And, since the guy has the ability to do the design work and the cutting, we'll do some things, stuff like this. This is for our ECI bodies on our counterbalance valves for the hydraulic doors as their safety. So just like, laser etch in, what hoses go where. So then, the customer is able to, from the ground, be able to call us if they ever had any concerns or, describe stuff or, things like that. So yeah, always trying to make improvements, and, it's kind of fun being able to do this stuff. Now, working on Easter and doing your painting, maybe isn't always the funnest thing, but, we know that if we put the extra work into it, and, it always adds up to a better product that the customer is always going to enjoy.